Today on the channel, we're going to talk about a mixing board that is at home both in the studio and out on the road in the live sound setting. I'm going to talk about every single detail of the Mackie Onyx 16, tell you what I like about it, the standout features, and then let you know whether or not I think it's worth picking one up for yourself. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Phase Reviews YouTube channel. My name is Jordan. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. If you're a subscriber, welcome back as always. This is the Mackie Onyx 16, a premium 16-channel analog mixing board with digital effects, multi-track recording, and a whole lot more. Before we dive into the review, make sure that you like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you don't miss any future review videos coming out in the future. Now, before I switch the camera to a top-down view so that I can show you every button, slider, and knob on the Onyx 16, let's take a moment to talk about the footprint and the build quality. Now, Mackie, if you've ever used any of their products, their slogan is built like a tank, and it really shows. The Onyx 16 is a hefty metal construction, metal chassis mixer with some plastic on the sides, kind of as the end caps, but pretty much everything else is metal, and it feels extremely sturdy and well done. You've got a nice chromed logo on the side, the Onyx brand right there, a nice slope to the mixer with rubber feet on the bottom to keep it from sliding around on your work surface. And all in all, despite being 16 channels, it does not take up too much space at all. Now, when compared with Mackie's other mixer line, the ProFX series, this one is laid out a little bit different. You'll notice at the top that there are no ins and outs, no jacks or plugs, and that's because on the Onyx 16, they are all located around the back of the mixer. I am personally a fan of this. I like when they're not cluttering up the top and kind of dangling off the back end. So I'm going to zoom the camera in and show you all of the ins and outs, and then we'll go over the control interface. This is the back panel of the Onyx 16. Across the top, we've got our 12 XLR inputs. Channels 1 through 8 also have a mono, quarter-inch input, and channels 5, 6, 7, and 8 have insert jacks for an external effects processor. Channels 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, 18 have stereo quarter-inch inputs if you'd like to use those. Down at the bottom, we have a foot switch, which allows you to turn the effects on and off. Your effects send, which will go to your external effects processor. Monitor sends 1 and 2. You've got your control room stereo outputs, and of course your main outputs, which are XLR, my preferred, or quarter-inch. We've got our power switch and our IEC power connection, and rounding things off, our USB connection over here to connect this to your computer so that you can do your recording into your DAW, live streaming, or just use this as an audio interface. All right, guys, and here is a top-down view of the Onyx 16. We've got a lot going on here, but thankfully, everything is pretty symmetric and equal across the inputs. Unlike the ProFX line from Mackie, which has a lot of variation between channels, this one is relatively straightforward. We're gonna go top to bottom, left to right, talk about all the features. But first, what I'm gonna do is you can see this Tascam recorder over here, and you can see I've got a microphone plugged in on channel 1, sending out some audio. So I'm gonna flip this over to the direct control outs from the mixer so that you can hear how the audio sounds on this. So I'll switch that over in 1, 2, 3. All right, and now you're hearing the audio through the Tascam recorder coming out of the control room outputs on the Onyx 16. Now, starting at the top, we have all of our gain controls for the individual channels, channels 1 through 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, 18. 60 dB of gain with the Onyx preamps. That's where this name comes from. They're well known for the Mackie brand, the Onyx preamps. They're very clear, very low noise floor, 60 dB of gain. And if you're using the line level input, you've got 40 dB of boost as well. In the middle for your line is going to be your Unity. Now, below the gain knobs, we have our low cut, which cuts it off at 100 hertz. If you want to take out the low end in anything that's not a bass instrument, a bass guitar, a bass drum, you could do that. I've got it engaged for my microphone right now. Channels 1 and 2 also have a switch for the high Z, or the instrument input. So if you want to directly put a bass guitar, a guitar, some other instrument in here without a DI box, you can do that by engaging the high Z input on channels 1 and 2. Now, below that, there is a button labeled EQ for all of the channels, and that actually makes the EQ controls active for that channel. If it's not engaged, it just directly bypasses it, and these have no effect. However, for channel 1, I have it engaged, so you can see I can roll off the highs. I can roll down the mids, and what I really like about this Onyx mixer is that this knob right here, which is a different color, thankfully, is the mid frequency sweep. So you can go down to 100 hertz or all the way up to 8 kilohertz and find a problem frequency or a specific one you want to target, and then adjust the level of that frequency here. So you don't see that in every mixer. It's nice to see it on this one. And then you've got your low control right there. We can take out the low or boost the low very easily with that knob, and they all have center detent, so you know where home is. Now below the EQ, we've got our aux sends, the monitor 1, monitor 2, so 2 different monitor mixes for different areas of the stage or different instrumentalists. And then we have our FX control right here. This is the main FX overall global level, and then for individual channels, they each have their own control. So now you can hear some of the effects right now. We'll talk about those in a minute. We've got, of course, got our pan control, so we can go left, we can go right, we can keep it dead center. We've got a mute button and a solo button. Now, if I click the solo button, you're not going to hear me, but that allows you to set your levels. You can see right here what they're at. So I'm going to go silent for a second, but you can see that allows me to dial in my level to where I need it with the solo button. We've got our level faders here for each individual channel. These are very smooth, a nice bit of resistance, and they, still a bit of kind of sensitivity to adjust it to where you need. Lastly, there's a button down here for LR that will send the channel to the main mix. If that's not engaged and you're wondering why, you've got everything else set, why am I not hearing it? Make sure you engage this so that it gets sent to the main left and right stereo outputs. There's a small LED right here that is your overdrive light, so if you are clipping the channel, this will let you know. Now, after our first 2 channels that have the high Z, these are all just going to be mic line channels, and then we get to our stereo channel. So 910 is just a regular stereo channel. 1112 allows you to play the SD card recordings back onto this channel right here if you want to use the SD card player. Right here we've got USB 1.2 and USB 3.4. So these channels 1314 and 1516 allow you to take audio back from your computer and loop it back and play it on these channels. So if you've got game audio or other people that you're zooming with or something, you can bring them back in right there. Now going over to 1718, this is our aux input. You've got a cord or a 3.5 millimeter 1/8 headphone jack style cable right there. You can set in your aux, and then below that we have our Bluetooth. This button is for pairing the Bluetooth to your phone, and this one is for turning the Bluetooth on and off. So if I bring up this level, I've got some royalty-free music playing, and if I click this, the Bluetooth will turn off. Now it's still paired to my phone, so I can just bring it back in. There you go. And so if you want to kind of isolate between the line-in and the Bluetooth, you can do that with this button. And of course, this can also be sent to the monitors. It also has its own pan control, mute, and solo like the other channels. Now, before we dive into the studio command area, which is where our effects are, let's talk about the last faders. This is our global effects level. We've got monitor 1 and monitor 2. So you can adjust those levels independently, and of course our main stereo outputs. We've got a headphone output up here. We've got a phantom power switch to engage phantom power with an LED, our main LED power indicator, as well as our 2 levels left and right. This root solo button will illuminate if I solo a channel. You could see that start flashing right there. And then a toggle switch for after fader levels or pre-fader levels for your solo switch. We've got a mute, and lastly, this button right here, send, will send the main stereo mix to the Bluetooth, to the computer via USB. Now let's jump up to the studio command center. Before we zoom in and look at this nice color screen that we've got right here, let's talk about the controls. So next to the screen, we have an encoder wheel with a click functionality to do most of your navigation. These 2 buttons toggle between the FX menu and the SD card menu. We've got a back button to jump out of whatever screen you're in. Below that, I have my SD card inserted in the slot right here. We've got back and forward buttons, a record button, and a play button. The FX controls for the monitors can be found right here. And then we have 3 more knobs: the control room level, the solo master level, and the headphone level. That is a lot of buttons and knobs. Let's jump over to our effects engine, because this is where a lot of the power and the functionality of the Onyx 16 comes into play. So looking at the Studio Command Center, we already talked about the controls, so let's kind of go through the navigation. So if we click FX, which is where we're at now, it will take us back to the main screen, which shows us all the effects that are available. We've got 12 here, and we'll go through each of them individually so that you can hear them. So I can just scroll with this knob, go to the effect delay, and click it, and now the delay is engaged. If I bring up the FX knob on channel 1, here you go. There's the delay. Now, each of these, let me turn that back down, has parameters that you can adjust. And so you can just scroll to that parameter, click it, and then you can adjust it how you like. Click it to get back out. You've also got EQ controls. You've got a low pass and a high pass filter, and then some more parameters to adjust here. Again, back up to back up. And then presets, if you've got an effect and you like the way it's set up for a particular room or gig, or just the way it sounds in general, you can actually save it and recall it from here. Okay. Now, backing up, let's go listen to a few other effects here. What am I doing? There we go. Wait, I need to... There we go. Hit FX one more time. Let me bring that back up. And we'll select the next effect, which is the echo. Oh, let's see. Got our slapback. Slapback. Hello. Go back. This is our hall reverb. This is the room reverb. Check 1, 2. This is the plate reverb. This is chorus 1. And again, all of these can be adjusted. This is chorus 2. We've got our flanger. Hello. You can kind of hear that modulating when I hold a tone there. We've got our delay and reverb combo effect, our delay and chorus, and then our reverb and chorus last of all. So I'm going to take those effects back down, and that is the effects menu. Now, the next button is the SD card menu, okay? And this is where you can access files on the SD card if you have samples there or if you make recordings. So in our recording section down here, I can just hit record, and it's going to start recording automatically. So it took a little bit of a delay there. You can see it's counting up right now. It's recording. This is a test 1, 2, and then I can hit record again, and that will stop the recording. It will actually just start another one right away. If I hit play pause, there we go. That will stop it completely. So I've got a couple files here. Let me just play this back. So if I click that, I need to make sure that I've got SD engaged for the channel over here. Recording. This is a test 1, 2. And now I'm playing back the file. Let me do that one more time. I'm going to hit enter again on this one, and it's going to start recording automatically. So that, a little bit of a delay. Check. So that is the sample, and again, we took that second sample right here. If I scroll down and click that one and then bring our fader back in, it will actually just start another one right away. Check. So it's really handy. You could see me, I was kind of fiddling around over here on the left to make sure I engaged the SD button on channel 1112 and then brought that level up. So that's how you do playback. If you want to back out of that, you can kind of back out of that menu, and again, record, play, and then jump through your files right here, or you can just use the knob to scroll through them. Now, the last thing that we can mess with is the settings menu. If I hold both of these, we enter this menu, and we've got things like autoplay. So if you've got autoplay enabled, that will just start playing files from the drive automatically. We've got the record mode, which is where you can kind of control your quality. So I just got it on 2496. The SD card tells you how much data you have and time you can record on. Set your time and date. You can do a factory reset, and then you can see your firmware version right there. Not a ton of settings, but enough that you can make sure your mixer's up to date and change a few preferences to your liking. So returning to our SD recorder right here, this is perfect for recording a mix of a live event, right? You just want kind of like a long running mix of the entire event. This is a great place to do that. Or if you just want to like record a quick demo and send it off. But if you connect this up to your computer, they include a DAW in the package, or if you've got your favorite recording software, this Onyx is capable of multi-track recording. Now, you cannot multi-track record to the SD, but through software, through connecting it, you can
multi-track record, which is really, really cool. This is a pretty affordable mixer to be able to have so many channels of multi-track recording just connected up to any DAW, including the one that comes in the package. The software that they include in the package allows you to do multi-track recording. It's not limited. It's not a trial version. It's really awesome that Mackie has included that in the box. We talked about our SD card section right here. We've talked about all of our inputs, our outputs, and our faders. Let's get to some final thoughts.
So there you have it. That is the Onyx 16 from Mackie, an impressive analog mixer with digital effects and multi-track recording under $1,000 that has all the bells and whistles that you could want for home recording or for mixing your band on the road. If you want to read more about this mixer or perhaps purchase it yourself, I'll include a link down in the description. Buying through there supports the channel, doesn't cost you anything extra. I'd appreciate it. But if you're not picking up one of these today, just go ahead and like the video and leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the Onyx 16. Subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you don't miss any videos coming in the future. I appreciate you watching today. That's going to be it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.